Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Unfiltered and Unapologetic, the space where we talk about healing, growth, alignment, and what it actually looks like to build a life that feels right without abandoning yourself in the process. I'm your host, Caitlin, born and raised in Lawrence, Massachusetts, and also raised between Bani and El Cibao, and proudly Dominicana. And today's episode is called Clarity Leads to Alignment, and Alignment Leads to Action. The shift that changes your life. Because at some point, it's not what you don't know anymore. It's that you do know and you're still not moving on it. And that's where everything starts to feel off. Because clarity doesn't just come to comfort you. It comes to change the direction of your life. So let's be real for a second. A lot of us are not confused anymore. We like to say we are. We like to sit in, I don't know. But deep down, you know. You know when something isn't right. You know when something isn't showing up the way they should. You know when something feels inconsistent, draining, or just off. But instead of moving on it, we sit in it. We wait, we overthink, we give it more time, we hope it changes. And then we call that being patient, when really is hesitation. And I'll be honest, I've been in that exact place, where something didn't feel right, where the communication wasn't consistent, where the effort didn't match what I was giving. And instead of immediately honoring that feeling, there's a part of you that wants to rationalize it. Maybe they're busy, or maybe I'm overthinking, or let me just give it a little more time. But the truth is, your body already knows before your mind tries to explain it. And the longer you stay in something that doesn't feel aligned, the more disconnected you feel from yourself. At some point, clarity stops being something you're searching for and becomes something you're avoiding acting on. That's the shift. Because once you see it clearly, you can't unsee it. And now the question becomes, are you going to move different or stay the same? I have the first journal prompt here for you guys. What do I already know that I haven't acted on? And the affirmation for this question is, I trust myself enough to move on what I already know. Clarity is not always this big dramatic moment. It's not always a sign or a message or something loud. Most of the time, clarity is quiet. It's that feeling in your chest when something just doesn't sit right. It's the pause after a conversation where you're like, yeah, I don't like that. It's noticing patterns, inconsistent communication, lack of effort, feeling anxious instead of secure, overthinking simple things. Clarity is when things stop feeling confusing and start feeling obvious. But here's the part that people don't talk about. Clarity doesn't always feel good, because clarity doesn't just show you what's right. It shows you what you need to let go of. And that's uncomfortable, because now you can't pretend anymore. You can't romanticize it. You can't say, maybe it'll change the same way. Clarity simplifies things, but we complicate it because we don't always want to accept what we see. I have another journal prompt here for you guys. Where in my life have things become clear, but I keep overcomplicating them? And the affirmation for this question is, I don't need more signs. I trust what has already been revealed to me. Now, let's talk about alignment. Because once you have clarity, alignment is what follows, if you allow it. Alignment is not chaotic. It's not confusing. It's not hot and cold. It's not anxiety. Alignment feels calm. It feels like peace in your decisions, not needing to overthink everything, not having to convince yourself something is right. And I think a lot of us have been so used to chaos that when something is actually aligned and peaceful, it almost feels unfamiliar. Like, why is this so easy? Why am I not overthinking this? Should I be doing more? But that's the difference. Misalignment feels like overthinking, anxiety, confusion, chasing clarity. Alignment feels like calm, certainty, grounded decisions, trust. And here's the key: alignment doesn't require force. You're not trying to make something work. You're not trying to convince yourself. It just fits. And when something doesn't fit anymore, you feel it immediately. You don't need 10 signs. You don't need to ask 5 people. You just know. I have another prompt here for you guys. Where in my life do I feel peace? And where do I feel pressure? And the affirmation for this question is, I choose what feels aligned, even when it's unfamiliar. Now, when you're aligned, you decide different. This is where everything shifts. Because when you're aligned, you just don't move the same anymore. You don't over-explain yourself, chase people for clarity, sit in confusion for too long, accept half effort and call it potential. You start making decisions faster. Not because you're being impulsive, but because things are clear. And I think that's something people misunderstand. They think, maybe I need more time to think about it. But sometimes you don't need more time. You need more honesty with yourself. When you're aligned, you say no quicker, you pull back without guilt, you stop trying to fix things that aren't yours to fix. Even recently, I had a moment where I realized I don't need to be explaining what I need. I don't need to keep giving chances for something that's already showing me what it is. And instead of overthinking it or waiting, I just said it clearly. This doesn't work for me. No long explanation, no emotional back and forth, just clarity and a decision that matched it. And that's what alignment looks like. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's actually very simple. You see it and you move accordingly. I have another prompt here for you guys. What decision have I been delaying even though I already know what to do? And the affirmation for this question is, I make decisions that reflect my clarity and my worth. Now, let's talk about the real reason on why we ignore what's clear. Because it's not that you don't know. It's that acting on it changes things. When you follow clarity, you might have to let someone go. You might have to set a boundary. You might have to outgrow a version of yourself. And that's uncomfortable. So instead, we stay. We stay in conversations that don't feel good. We stay in patterns that we've already outgrown. We stay in situations that require us to shrink. And we tell ourselves, let me just give it more time. Or maybe I'm being too much. Or maybe it'll get better. But the truth is, sometimes we stay confused on purpose because clarity requires action. Clarity is easy to sit with. But alignment asks you to move. And movement requires courage, honesty, self-respect, and this is where self-abandonment shows up. Because every time you ignore what you know, you disconnect yourself a little more. I have another prompt here for you guys. Where am I ignoring what I already know because I'm afraid of what it requires from me? And the affirmation for this question is, I no longer ignore what is clear to me. I honor it with action. At the end of the day, your life doesn't change because you think more. It doesn't change because you analyze everything perfectly. It doesn't change because you wait for the right time. Your life changes when you see it clearly and choose to move accordingly. Clarity is the moment you realize the truth. Alignment is the moment you accept it. Action is the moment you honor it. And most people, they stay stuck. Not because they don't know what to do, but because they don't trust themselves enough to follow through. But the truth is, you don't need more answers. You don't need more signs. You don't need more time. You need to trust. Trust what you felt. Trust what you noticed. Trust what became clear. Because once you start moving in alignment with yourself, everything changes. Your standards change, your decisions change, the way you show up changes, the people you allow in your life change, and slowly, your life starts to reflect who you are actually becoming. So if you take anything from this episode, let it be this. You already know. Now move like it. And I have the last journal prompt here for you guys. What would my life look like if I actually moved on what I already know? And the affirmation for this question is, I trust myself, I honor my clarity, and I move in alignment with who I am becoming. Now let's do the closing prayer. Put your hand on your chest and take a deep breath. Dear God, thank you for the clarity you've already placed in my life, even in the moments I try to ignore it. Help me trust what I feel and give me the courage to act on what I already know. Remove the fear that keeps me stuck and replace it with peace, confidence, and direction. Guide my decisions so they reflect who I am becoming, not who I used to be. And remind me that choosing myself is not selfish. It's alignment. Amen. If this episode resonated with you, take a moment to really sit with it. Journal, reflect, and be honest with yourself. And if you need a place to start, I created something for you. The Emotional Reset, a guide for when you feel off. It's a free guide to help you reconnect with yourself and get clear again. Also, don't forget to rate, review, and share the podcast. It helps more people find these conversations. And as always, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for doing the work and doing the work with me. And thank you for choosing yourself on purpose. See you in the next episode.